Welcome back to podcasting. I'm Alec Hanson, host of the Modeling Podcast, Senior Vice President at Loan Depot, and today we're going to get you the basics. Podcasting 101. So you're motivated. You decided you're going to start a podcast. You're ready to rock and roll. You got your topics. You got your people lined up. How do you get it into the internet? How do you get it onto Apple Podcast? What software should you use? Let's break that all down today. Number one, the first piece of thing I would tell you is to understand, are you going to do an audio-only podcast or a video and audio podcast? My encouragement right now, even if you say you have a face for radio, is to put yourself in the video and the audio space. You get more bang from your buck. You're already doing the podcast. You might as well do the video with it. Plus, like I mentioned before, you'll get a lot better at video playing in the podcast game in that space. You get a place to distribute your video podcast on YouTube, as well as a place to distribute your audio podcast across the podcast network. We'll talk into all that. What software should you use? Well, the simplest one is Zoom. It's pure and simple. Zoom. And even if you're only doing an audio version of a podcast, open up the Zoom and have the other person on camera, because it's going to enhance your ability to have a conversation with somebody who you can make eye contact with while you're asking questions and while you're podcasting together. If you're going to do post-produced content, Zoom's a great tool. As soon as you're done and you've saved it to your desktop, you can now edit it, add in overlays, add in titles, and we'll get to all that in a little bit. But from a software perspective, all you need is Zoom. Now, if you're going to do multi-streaming and live podcasting, you want to use Streamyard. We'll talk about that too in a little bit. But the first part I want to start with is to encourage you to do video and audio podcasting. All right, let's talk about graphics, overlays, all that stuff first, because a lot of people get bent out of the world saying like, oh, I need to have this thing highly produced and amazing. No, you don't. You can get better over time. You can add in graphics and musics and intros over time. But for those who want to play now, here's how I started, and here's the easiest way to go. You want to create a cover for your podcast, a graphic that represents what you're all about. The best place I can point you to is Fiverr.com. Super cheap, inexpensive, and it even is already ready for podcast cover art. You don't even have to search very far to find all the people that offer, for a very fair price, some podcast cover art. If you're not creative and that's above your means, go to Fiverr.com right now and create that yourself. Another simple and amazing place to play is Canva. Canva.com is free. There is a premium version that I recommend you pay for. But Canva is Photoshop for dummies. It's incredibly user intuitive. It's easy to play with, and you can do a lot of fun stuff and create thumbnails, cover photos, and cover graphics for your podcast right in Canva as well. The other place Canva is useful is if you're playing with overlays on top of your podcast or your video. Canva can create those right there with transparent backgrounds to upload into tools like Streamyard. First things first, since this is a podcast and podcasts are mainly audio, let's talk about how you get your podcast onto the podcast network. I leverage a software platform online called Simplecast. Simplecast is easy, inexpensive. I think it's around $400 for an annual membership, and it pushes your podcast to everywhere you need to go. Now, I'm not a tech genius, but Simplecast is easy to set up. And so for this, we're going to flip over the man behind the man, and Mikey's going to show you exactly how to set up a Simplecast account and get your audio podcast that you recorded on Zoom and are sitting on your desktop into the podcast network. Mikey?
Thanks, Alec. All right, guys, here is Simplecast. It's very easy to set up. You can actually do a 14-day free trial if you want to try it out. Pricing is pretty standard. You have your basic, which gives you all this, essential, and then growth if you want to like grow bigger and have more team members. Essentially what you want to do is just essential, because it gives you basic, if you're just starting out, it gives you basic analytics that you can use to kind of see what people like, where people are listening, and what people are interested in based on, you know, your tags that you put in your podcast. And we'll get onto that a little bit later. But for all intents and purposes, when you start out, just hit the get started, sign up. Once you have a sign up, then we're going to go into the login. Once you have all that information in, we can just get it going. All right, we are logged in here. As you can see, this is the layout for Alec's podcast, Modern Lending. I run it mostly, and essentially what you could do is you can have somebody help you run it as an admin, like I am, where I can control a lot of the launches and scheduling, view the analytics to do some reporting for Alec when it happens. But when you first start, you're gonna have something very, very empty. And then essentially what you could do is once you create it, you can actually go into things like putting your show art in. So this will be empty and you can actually load it in there. This is where you name your podcast, put the description in. Once you get your show details in, make sure it's episodic or however you want to do it. You can actually do serial or episodic with seasons. We just keep it running episodic and then we place the seasons on the bumper. Now, again, publishing time zone, make sure it's your time zone. So that way, once it publishes, people can actually see it and know that it's been switched to their current local time zone. You can also set if there's explicit content like cursing, if you have a little bit of cursing in there. We try to keep it clean because it is business. This is very important right here. You have 3 categories that you're going to use. The first category is basically what you state your podcast to be. The second and third category essentially allows it to be indexed properly. You have to choose them very carefully. We do a lot of business marketing, of course. The second category is education, because a lot of the times we're telling stories on how to run things and have different guests that provide services and such for local mortgaging pros or just stories in general. And then mostly, again, we do a lot of technology because we do a lot of shows based on social media, getting videos out there, getting everything live. Now, this is where you can actually place your tags. So this is what we have so far. This is just basically what I have for this demo video here. I would usually choose anywhere between 15 to 20 tags, and then that should get you indexed pretty well. The more shows that you have, the more tag that shows up in these tags, the more likely somebody searching these tags will see your show. Okay? And then you can just put your owner details. So again, show owner's Alec, and then we have the podcast Gmail that we have. Now, this is where it gets a little technical. Okay? Once you have your show created, Simplecast is going to give you an RSS feed. So what that means is this is how you syndicate your entire show across all your main distribution channels, okay? You're going to copy this. You're going to follow the instructions per channel, okay? They're going to be a little bit different on each one. The quickest one that you're going to be able to do is between Amazon Music and Spotify. These can actually get approved right away because you do have to send your RSS feed through an approval process. It's going to take anywhere from 1 to 4 hours to get approved on Amazon Music and Spotify. The ones that take a little bit of time, Google Podcasts can take anywhere from 1 week to about a month, and then Apple Podcasts does take about 2 weeks to get your feed through. Once you've submitted them, you're going to get a different feed that you need to put inside of your distribution channels. Now, there is a caveat. Google Podcasts and Amazon Music has their own indexing feed. They will send you an email once your show has been put into their podcast domain. You don't have to add anything with a URL. You don't have to do any indexing with Amazon Music podcast URL here. So the ones that you really do have to worry about is Spotify and podcasts, especially since Spotify is now leading the charge when it comes to podcasts. Now, additionally, I would recommend putting your RSS feed and following all the instructions for these little ones, because we do catch a lot of viewers on these little podcast channels, mostly on Pocket FM and Breaker. But again, that's based on what your audience is like. So depending on your podcast, a lot of these do have like niche podcasts. So if you wanted to do like mortgages and makeup, for example, you'd hit something like iHeartRadio or Overcast or Radio Public or Breaker, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the most technical part. Now all you have to do is just take this feed, copy it, make sure you follow the instructions when you click on each one of these channels, Once they get approved, your show is syndicated. I would recommend doing Spotify first because it is the quickest one. After that, you can do a little bit of marketing for your show. Audigo, we don't really use it. It is affordable and very easy to use. I have friends that have done it, but we do most of our marketing through social media. And again, you can add team members if you need to. As you can see, it's just myself and Alec. Now, all right, we're gonna go into site settings now. This is where you essentially create your website domain. Now, Simplecast, one of the best things about Simplecast is that it does create a site for you. So if I were to take this right here, copy it, send it into a new URL, they create an actual website that you can actually stylize. So this is the one that we have where we send a lot of people that just listen to the audio only version, and then they can actually go to the other channels to subscribe if they wanted to. So this is kind of your main podcast hub that you can design. All your episodes come out here when they launch. Now, you can do a website favicon. A favicon is basically a 128 pixel by 128 pixel picture that shows up right here. You can put it in there. We normally don't do it because it's so overlooked, but eventually we will do it. And then again, you can also add your social links so that way they show up on the actual podcast hub that you created. So we have his Twitter handle, his Instagram handle, all the way down. And then you can also do Google Analytics if you are handling Google Analytics. Things like the pixel code, your Google ad ID, things like that. Okay? Site links, you don't have to really worry about this one if you're not creating a high indexed website on Simplecast. But site design is where you can actually go in and do a lot of customization. So we kind of match the picture here with that background. You can set it to white or black, like the light and dark color, accent colors. You can add a little bit of texture if you want. And we just kind of keep it simple because we push a lot of the traffic from here to his actual website, alechanson.com. All right, guys, that is basically it for that, to set it up. And then just a quick recap on, or just a quick demo on how to do an actual episode. Once you have everything recorded, you just go to episodes, hit add episodes, put your title in. You can actually name the actual podcast episode itself and give it its own URL. You drag your audio file in here. Again, set your episode numbers here if you want. We usually keep everything 0 because we don't want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4 based on how it's listed in a lot of the channels. Set your summary. You can actually put notes here where you can let people know at what time marker you talk about certain items. Make sure you always add yourself as a host and your guest, and then again add more keywords. This is keywords on top of the ones that you've already set for your site. Okay. You can also do an optional episode art, but to keep it consistent, I would recommend just leaving the original podcast graphic as your episode art, unless you change it or it's a special thing. Again, episode privacy, if you don't, I would leave this off. Alternate episode URL, I would leave it off. Once you have everything done, you hit save, and then the next option allows you to schedule it or publish it right then and there. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for me. Let's go back to Alec.
All right, so now that you know how to get your audio out across the podcast networks, let's talk about how to get your video out. If you heard me before, I mentioned a technology tool called Streamyard. Streamyard is a multi-streaming, multi-platform technology that allows you to take your podcast and push it live across Facebook, LinkedIn, your Facebook group, YouTube, Twitter. It's incredibly powerful. Now, if I haven't sold you on going live yet, I would still encourage you to use Streamyard as a post-produced recording tool because it allows you to do cool things like add overlays like this that just popped on, which was created in Canva. It allows you to upload videos that you can play like this. Okay, I cut it short. Intro videos that you can create or have created by Fiverr and uploaded in. It adds a lot more functionality into your space, and it also allows you to highlight comments that are coming in live while you're doing the podcast. They pop up like this on your screen. It also allows you to drop banners in like this. If you want to talk about Facebook groups, or this, connect their people. It's a very versatile tool that you can use to just up the production quality of the video of your podcast. So I'd encourage you, actually, for a better look at this, Mikey, why don't you just take it over again and show them how to really use and set up Streamyard.
Okay. How to Start a Podcast, Episode 2, Streamyard Setup. Take 1. Woo! Alec's really making me work today, huh? All right, guys. Here is Streamyard, just to let you see what it kind of looks like when you first start. Now, you're going to have to go to Streamyard and then also go and sign up for an account. Now, you do have a couple different options. I would choose the plan that works for you the best. Don't do the basic plan because there is a little bit of a watermarking. Now, if you want to deal with it, okay, to see if podcasting is for you, you can do that, run for it. But after a while, it's going to start bugging you a little bit that there's a little StreamYard watermark. You can actually watermark yourself on paid options. So what I would recommend is going for either the business or the pro version or the business version, depending on how big your team is and how big you want your streams to be, essentially. Now, once you have everything signed up, finished, your account's all done, you chose a plan, you're actually going to go into StreamYard, and it's going to actually take you to the broadcast hub. Now, here at the broadcast hub, you're basically going to have nothing on the actual hub because you just started. Now, if you want to start to stylize and customize, which I would recommend doing, you're going to create a broadcast, which I've already done right here, StreamYard overview. We're going to go ahead and enter the studio. Now, I've already have it opened up on the other tab, and I apologize as we have the portal of doom, as you guys can see, because I'm sharing my screen on StreamYard to show you how to use StreamYard. I know, it's like StreamYardception. Now, guys, you guys can see my face here down in the bottom left-hand corner. This is your basic control booth where you can actually control later, but we're not worrying about that right now. We are just going to utilize the time to actually customize and set up your StreamYard broadcast studio. Now, what you want to go do is on the right-hand side here, you're going to have something called brand. I created a brand. Now you can actually, on the paid accounts, go up to about like 12 different brands as you can see. We did everything from modern lending to social media collab that we did a couple years ago. Then we had the Gary V broadcast, which I wanted to keep everything the same and separated from everything else. We have a live time with Alec brand, a hashtag bypass brand. And then if you guys saw the breakthrough, we did that as well. Now, we're going to go and create a new brand and name it How to Start a Podcast. This is where you can actually choose your brand colors. You can go and it's pretty customizable. You can go and find whatever you like. We'll pick a nice blue tone for funsies there. Now, what's nice is that StreamYard has a couple different themes that you can use for your comment pop-ups. So what I mean by that is that you have your bubble, your classic, your minimal, your block. So say I wanted to put up something, let's go say video is king here, for example. One of Alec's great taglines here. The bubble looks like this. You can turn it into classic if you like, bring the banner out a little bit more. You can be minimalistic with the minimal, and then you can just go standard block, as you guys can see. Now, I like the minimal. It keeps it nice and clean, but again, it is your choice how you customize it. You can also add your logo in as well. Now, if you guys go in and see the podcast, for example, we also have Lone Depot popping up here in the top right-hand corner. Change different ones. Essentially, you're going to start with a powered by StreamYard version. It's just going to have that duck, but you can load your logos there. So let's go back to our How to Start a Podcast. We can load a logo. All you have to do is click on it, go and add whatever you like. So I'm just going to load this one. Let it load, and then boom, there you go. How to Start a Podcast logo. Now you can also do overlays as well. What that is essentially that is a graphic that goes on top of the screen. So say we didn't have these banners show. So let's take this video, this king off. these banners didn't show and we didn't have this, you can actually mask yourself with like a full graphic, for example. So right now, say we wanted to like not show this, and as you guys can see, you can start your show off here once it goes live, and then you can unhide it and then show yourself. Or what you could do is you can do different overlays, for example. So we did one for Anthony Shea the other day for the Modern Lending Podcast. You can go to Canva and create overlays that have a transparent background that allow you to put the names and everything, and allow you to show whatever is behind. So you can put cool graphics, whatever you want, and Canva is the best way to do it. It's very simple, very easy, as Alec was saying. Once you're done with the overlays there, you can actually add video clips. This is how we showcase a lot of the bypassed videos, or we wanted to show like our intro, as you guys have seen before. Alec kind of did an intro for a previous segment that we did a couple weeks ago, for example. And then you can also do bubbles in the dark, which is a background. So if you didn't have anything showing up, which I can't actually show because then audio would be cut out. But essentially, if you just didn't want like a black background, you wanted like something stylistic for when you do the actual, actually, let me show you here. So if I wanted to add myself here on a little presentation, kind of like a side-by-side, you see the background here, you can actually change it so that way it shows that, or you can just do a black background, or you can add different pictures or colors, for example. So we want to do moon asteroid, it shows up in the back there. Okay, I'm going to go back to our shared view here, and then a couple new features that just actually showed up, so you guys are in luck. They have background music. You can actually set background music in the back. So to play, change it, you can loop it so that way they can hear it in the whole entire time. But for myself, when I do Alec podcast, we actually add music in post-production when we do the clips. So we don't like playing music while we're having an interview. We only have the music for the intro, and that's it. So again, it's very simple, very easy to set up. That's how you customize your StreamYard studio, and you can actually set different studio brands, so that way you can have a different set for every time. So when you can switch it, it's already preset. You can move, you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to get jumbled and all that jazz. Okay, I hope that helps. You guys got to get it back out there and go live. All right, Alec, take it away.
You got to go live. Now, I hear this all the time, but I want to about going live and about video versus audio and analytics. But let me layer down some core facts for you guys right now. Should your podcast be on YouTube and video form? 1,000%. Should it also be across the podcast networks in audio form? 1,000%. What are you waiting for? You're producing the content, get the bang for your buck. But what about analytics? Should you care about how many views you get? Should you care about how much engagement you're getting? No. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your success doesn't come because you're getting thousands of views. Stop it. Stop holding yourself to some weird standards and trying to go viral. You want to make sure your podcast gets in front of the right people. And this comes down to kind of the end of Podcasting 101, kind of the bookend here of what you need to accomplish. When you're in the rhythm and you're pushing out live podcasts and you're pushing out the audio content podcast, you have to continue to do two things. Number one, you have to continue to aggressively grow your audience through your own efforts. That means reaching out to people, friend requesting, and diving in deeper with your past clients and realtors on social media, building that audience so that your podcast has a place to show up. And number two is asking for reviews, sending the person you interviewed a copy of the podcast, encouraging them to share it with their connections. Ask people and you shall receive. Nothing has ever accomplished without asking, and the same goes with podcasting. You're putting out your marketing, you're bringing out your branding, you're showcasing your expertise. Ask people for feedback. Ask people to leave reviews. Ask people to view it. With those simple steps from Podcasting 101, you're ready to rock. Stay tuned for episode 3 when we talk about the gear. What do you need to actually sound good? We'll see you guys on episode 3.
Whoa, pump the brakes. Alec moves so fast sometimes. I gotta show you a little bit about how to set up a YouTube channel. Hey guys, it's Mikey again, and we are here on a demo tutorial on how to create a YouTube channel. For those of you that don't have a YouTube channel or is about to start one, to put all those videos on to create your YouTube library, go ahead and go to youtube.com. It'll take you to this home page. And then in the top right hand corner right here, there should be a little circle that allows you to sign in. Click on that. And then what you want to do is you want to create a Gmail account or an account that is associated to a Gmail account, like I have here for my gym. So I do all their marketing. So I have a Gmail account that's associated to Google Business. You can actually sign in using a Gmail account, or you can use your personal Gmail account. It doesn't really matter so long as it's a Google account. Once you have that signed in, go ahead and click on the circle. It brings you up to this menu, and your first option is going to be to create a channel. So click on that. This is where you can upload a picture. This is where you usually put your profile picture for what your channel is. I would put the profile picture you're using across all your social media channels. So that way it all stays very consistent across the board on all platforms. And this is where you also can name your channel as well. So I'm going to name mine Mikey's Marketing Channel. Now, if you're not happy with the name currently, you can just put your name, and then you can actually go back and change the name later if you don't like your current name. Once you have that named, let's go ahead and create it. Hit Create Channel. Processing a little bit, and then you should have an empty channel here. Okay, so a couple of things you want to do is you want to create a head banner. We'll do a quick video on that later, but once you do that, you hit Customize Channel. Let it load up. This is where you can actually put a channel trailer preview. This is the video, your intro video for what people should expect your channel to have. That's the video that Alec has been telling you guys to create to make sure that everyone, when they land on your channel, they know what to expect. You can also do a featured video for people that have already subscribed to you. So like a main one, kind of like what Alec has been doing with his major content. So his current one right now is What If, the What If series. So you can add those in right here, okay? Now, let's get into the nitty gritty and go into the branding. Again, get your profile picture uploaded in the picture area. The banner area, you want to create on Canva a banner that has these dimensions, and that should go straight across for basically every version of a person when they go onto YouTube. So the YouTube app on TV, on their laptop or desktop, and then the mobile version. You can also add a watermark if you wanted to. And that's a kind of a cool thing, but that's a little bit extra. You don't really need that. And then also all your basic info. So this is where you put in your intro for when they land on it. So this one, people could expect something like, welcome to my channel, where you will find all your marketing needs. Okay. And you can also change your URL as well. You can take this, delete that. It won't actually allow you to do that until you have a couple of videos up, and then it knows that you're not just a fake bot channel. Okay. So currently, because I just started it, it won't let me do that, but eventually you can change the URL to match something, so that way they can, it's easier for you to actually promote. Okay. Enter your contact info down here. So for this one, I will put mike@crossfit.com, Costa Mesa.com. And then that takes care of all the customization there. Okay. So you can add in branding. So I'll take you through this. I'm going to leave my profile picture alone, but you can actually load in a banner. We'll just do a basic one for right now. let's see, and create one. I'll just put in the section 2 banner that we have. So see, if you don't create the minimal for the actual banner, it won't work. Okay. We'll get back to that later. Okay. Now let's get into the content of it. Cancel. Oh, and then also make sure when you're done customizing everything, you hit publish. Okay. All right. Now, once you're inside the YouTube studio, so you can notice when you actually create and sign into your YouTube account, you want to go to the YouTube studio. Once you're inside the studio, you have your dashboard. This is where it shows everything that's been doing, your current subscribers, your current video and how it's doing with views and watch time, and then the top videos that you've been watched on your channel. Now, most of the time you'll be spending a lot of time in the content area. So inside the content area, that's where you can upload your videos. So for example, if I wanted to upload a video, I would hit upload video, or what you can do in the top right hand corner, it has a create button, and you can also upload your videos there as well. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to put in the session 7 that you guys just had into the channel. Once you click on the video wherever you saved it, this is where you start to edit, put in the details of your video, description. You can actually upload a thumbnail as well. So for this one, I'm just going to put the road to 100 million. Session 7, campaigning, part 2. And I'll just put in a quick description about what they can expect. And this is where you can also put in taglines like, if you need any more help, you can contact me here. It is good practice to do that. So that way, when they do visit you on YouTube, they're always constantly hit with your contact info. But for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to put in the description of the video that I currently uploaded. Once you have the quick description in there, you're going to go down here to the thumbnail. So I've already created a thumbnail for this. Oh, also you're going to have to verify yourself. So let's go ahead and do that quick here. Okay. Now that I got everything verified, I did that off screen so that way you didn't have to worry about it. Go ahead and click on upload thumbnail. And then this is where you can put in any, created bumper or thumbnail for the video. So this is something that shows up on screen, so it doesn't actually just show a piece of your video. If you didn't have this, it would just choose a random section of your video, and sometimes you get caught with like your mouth open as you're talking. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, let's go ahead and use the one that I was using. So this would be campaigning part 2. Once it pops it up there, as you can see on this top right hand corner, you're going to see the thumbnail actually pop up on your video here, and that will be saved automatically. Now, this is where you're going to want to create playlists as well. So as you upload the video here, you're going to have this. And since it's a new channel, you're going to hit create playlist. Once the create playlist is open, so this one will be, let's say we wanted to put this under first-time home buyers. We'll call it the first-time home buyers playlist. You hit create. Once you have that created, make sure you click on the playlist that you want the video to go into, because all it does is create it, but it doesn't automatically assign it, just in case you have multiple playlists that you want to add your video to. So click on the playlist there, hit done. It'll automatically save that. Now you have a video inside of a new playlist. Now, when you get here to the audience area, you're going to want to click no, it's not made for kids. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to restrict anything. It just doesn't blank out your comments, because when you have it as for kids, they don't allow people to comment on the video. Okay. So once you have that clicked, no, it's not made for kids, you hit next. Don't worry about this. This is a little bit more advanced play. We'll go over this at a later date. Just hit next on the video elements. Now they're going to do checks. So this is where you have to be careful. If you do put music on your channel or anywhere in your video, you have to make sure it is royalty-free music. So non-copyrighted music. So you can't be adding, top 40 songs or an old song that you like. You have to make sure that it's royalty free. And there are a couple websites that I will suggest. So my main one that I use most of the time is called epidemicsound.com. You can sign up for a subscription there. It's $15 and it has like a plethora of music, and it has sound bites that we use all the time. Sometimes you'll hear it on different other YouTube channels as well, and don't worry about that. That's totally fine. Most of the time the music's there just to give one more layer to your video, but for all intents and purposes, if you are putting music in there, just make sure it is completely royalty free. Okay, that's where the checks will do. If it isn't royalty free, the YouTube algorithm will kick your video back and won't allow you to upload it. So just be careful about that. Once it's done, it's checks, you hit next. Now, this is where you can choose the option to put your video to make it private for, only you or certain people with a current link to watch it, like we do for all the sessions. You can unlist it so it is posted on your channel, but people can't find it, essentially. So it'll still be on your channel, but kind of hidden. But if they happen to find it, then they could find it. And for public, that's where you want to click on most of the time. So that way you can just publish it onto your channel. Now you can also do something and schedule your channel. So say you all have created your 10 video playlist and you want to upload them all at the same time to save some time. That's what we do here for Alec. You'll upload all 10 of them, and then you can schedule each one for when they launch. So say you had 10 of them and you wanted to release it every Wednesday, you can actually click on the calendar link here and then set one for the 16th, one for the 23rd, one for the 30th if you need to. But yeah, that's how you schedule out your posts. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to put this as public or unlisted, so that way it doesn't show up on the channel, since this is a dummy channel. And then once you're done with that entirely, you're going to need to watch down here as the video is still uploading. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. This was a very large video, so it's taking about 11 minutes to upload it into the channel. Click save once you're done with all that, and then YouTube will continue to upload and then render it to standard definition and high definition, depending on what you recorded on. Okay. Once you're done with that, hit close, and you're going to need to leave this tab open. So whatever you do, do not click out of the tab until the video is completely uploaded, because if you do that, it will negate your upload, and then you're going to have to start the entire process over. Okay. Now, a couple other things on the YouTube channel as well. You can also check your analytics, so you can actually see views and watch time and how many subscribers you got, when they subscribe, when they unsubscribed. You can actually see a live count of your subscribers as well. You can also respond to any comments that are left. So in this comment section, this is where you can do any copywriting. If they have, essentially, if you put up a video that had copyrighted music, this is where you would go to see that video and then make changes if you need to. Most of the time, you don't want to be in this section at all, because it's just going to be a pain in the butt to re-edit the video entirely. Okay. And then you can also monetize as well. So this is advanced play. We'll talk about ad accounts with Google ad accounts later, where you can actually get money for people viewing your videos as well. But we won't have to worry about that too much. Okay. So that's basically it for creating the entirety of a YouTube channel. Inside the dashboard, so once you log in every day, YouTube has a great little playlist view that they upload and show you what they've been doing. And then also they have tips and tricks for managing your YouTube video as well. And I've found it quite educational. Once every other 2 weeks, like you can see here, your YouTube questions, if you have them, you can actually watch that playlist on YouTube. You can click on that if you want to learn on your own, or you can't get a hold of one of us to actually help you with your YouTube channel.